Hi everyone, I'm Maimah Karmo, and you're watching Breathe TV, a safe space to come to as you navigate your breast cancer journey. When I first heard the words you have breast cancer, I didn't have a place to go to where I felt safe. I was 32 years old, a Black woman, a single mom, and no one looked like me, had my experience. And I imagined what could it be like to have a place to have women come to who not only had our disease staging or type or skin color or age, that I could talk to and feel like I was at home. I began Tigerlily, then began this program called Breathe TV to give women like you who are just coming into the breast cancer space, a place to come to be like, people look like me. They have my experience. They relate to me. Marissa is here with us today, the co-founder of The Breast of Us, a really amazing organization that supports women of color, that gives them empowerment, support, resources, and a place to call home as they go through breast cancer and beyond. And so if you're watching this and you're in a space of feeling anxious or fearful or alone, I'm gonna do a quick series of affirmations with you. And so I always say, if you're driving, don't close your eyes and don't put your hands on your chest or your belly. But if you're not, you can follow me and you can repeat after me as well. Take a deep breath. Repeat after me. I am safe.
I am safe.
I am supported.
I am supported.
I have comfort.
I have comfort.
I am not alone.
I am not alone.
My sisters surround me.
My sisters surround me.
I can breathe.
I can breathe.
I am resilient.
I am resilient.
I am strong.
I am strong.
I am fearless.
I am fearless.
I see a way forward.
I see a way forward.
I am light and I am love.
I am light and I am love.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Marissa, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Me too. I'm excited. So tell us about The Breast of Us. What made you begin the organization and how was it informed by your breast cancer journey?
Well, when I was diagnosed at the age of 35, and I couldn't find anybody that looked like me and who was diagnosed young like me. I didn't want to go to support groups because for the most part, the support groups that I seen were like older white women, not women that look like us that I could relate to, and also having a young child, being a single mom. And he, at the time, was 13. And so, I was looking online, trying to find people who were like me. And I said, well, I know that there's women like me who have been diagnosed at a young age. Like, where are they at? And so I teamed up with Jasmine Sowers, who's also a breast cancer survivor. And we were like, well, we can build a platform where all women of color can come, share their experiences and stories about being diagnosed or impacted with breast cancer. So that way young women especially, know that they have a place that they can go to and be seen. And so that's how For the Breast of Us came.
You guys grew fast.
We did.
I think I met you guys in 2018, 19. Is when you
2019.
When did you start?
Yes, yeah.
And then you were like off to the races.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yes.
So tell me about your breast cancer diagnosis and how you found out you had breast cancer, your treatment journey and all of that.
Yeah. So I was diagnosed at 35. I found the lump myself after getting out of the shower. I was putting lotion on and I felt the lump. I've worked in healthcare for about 20 years. So as soon as I felt it, I just knew something wasn't right. But even in, your mind, you try to tell yourself I was like, maybe I have a clogged milk duct, even though my son was 13. It was a Saturday. I remember it still to this day. I called my PCP to see if I can get in to get checked, and they couldn't get me in. So I called the office that I used to work at and talked to my old manager and said, hey, I found a lump. Can you guys get me in? They got me in the next day. And that's one of the biggest things why I say to people is it's really important that you don't burn bridges, because you never know if you have to walk back over that bridge again. And they literally got me in the next day to have a mammogram and an ultrasound and a biopsy, which is unheard of because, some women,
they have to wait.
Right. If not, days, weeks, or even months, even longer. And so the doctor that I used to work with, after they did the biopsy, she actually called me. And one of the phrases that I'll never forget, and I still carry it to me to this day, she had said, I hate that we have to write this chapter in your story, but if we're going to write it, let's make it a damn good one.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful.
Mm-hmm. And I think that helped me once I was diagnosed, because it's like, okay, so now I can gear up for this. I know that it's just a chapter.
I talk a lot about how people phrase things in the cancer space, like when you're told you have cancer, how they tell you, the energy that they bring to you when you're saying that, how they act rushed or hurried or not. And,
Right.
The first few doctors that dismissed me were very like abrasive or short. And the one that I went with, when I went to see her, I was so scared after seeing 4 others that had told me like, don't bother, whatever. Mm-hmm. But she literally sat with me and she pulled her chair close to my knees and she put her hands out and she said, kind of like, trust me, give me your hand. And she talked to me and she said, I'll be with you the whole way. And she said, you got this. And she said, it's time to create a whole new life. She didn't say it as like, oh my God, you're sick, you're dying. Right. It wasn't all this overwhelming. It was like, the words she used helped me to shift how I thought about where I was, as a way of an opportunity that could be a catalyst to something better and different. And I was afraid for a while, but her words really like put a seed in my belly,
Yeah, I'm sure it definitely helped you for sure, like you said.
Oh, I went bonkers. My mom was like, Maimah, you're in treatment. Why are you beginning? I'm like, Mommy, I cannot wait. I'm like, you're sick. No, I'm well. You're the one that's sick. You're crazy. No, I'm good.
Right.
And just like you're the woman that told you that, it really, I'm sure it helped to change how your path went forward, right?
Right.
And,
yeah. Because like you said, it's such of a rush process. Like as soon as you're diagnosed, and then just meeting with all the doctors and hearing about different treatment plans. So to actually have somebody sit down and take that time with you, or just to even help calm your spirit.
And so how did advocacy change you? I know for me, it changed who I thought I was or wasn't. I thought I was I'm a really shy person. I'm very introverted. I couldn't speak in public, and now I'm all over the place talking. But it made me realize what I was capable of in a way that I would never have known before cancer. How did your diagnosis change you?
I think it's about the same. It definitely gave me a lot of power. I'm actually really shy too, but it's definitely like given me a voice and wanting to, speak for other women or speak up for them, or even just empower them. I think one of the things that I do, I actually give myself a little pat on the back and say, because I hardly don't do that, but seeing what people's, their strengths are and being like, you would be great in doing this. And I feel like that is like my own advocacy when it comes into like the breast cancer space. Like you'd be great like going on Capitol Hill, or you would be great just doing like one-on-one mentorship with people. You're really great with partnerships, those things. And so advocacy has definitely helped me raise my voice. And then also just wanting to bring like the community together, because especially with COVID, we all haven't been together. And so just trying to corral everybody and say, hey, like we're here. You have people here that are in your corner, people that can support you. So that's been a beautiful thing too.
So how does it work? Because you were online at first, purely online, and you do like photo shoots. I love your amazing calendars with the women just like out there.
Thank you.
But so do you do like peer support one-on-one? Do you have like people that work with you as trainers? Because I know you just began in 2019, so you're probably still scaling. So are you still doing most of that yourself, or are you getting people that are helping you like help the patients?
I am getting people that help me. So we do have ambassadors. We call them Baddies ambassadors. Yeah. We have about like 25 women who have been diagnosed all different stages, even, a pre-vivor. They live all across the country, and all different, shades of women of color. So Black, Hispanic, Asian. And so they're definitely a big help when it comes to coming like advocacy, doing social media advocacy, or if we do online, webinars, things of that nature. Right now, just this year, we pivoted, and not only are we just online, but we're doing in person. So in-person meetups in different cities. And the goal with that is we pick one day. So we do them once a quarter. So it's usually on a Saturday. And we do the same day all across the country. They could be at different times. So like we just had one last month in June, and we had it in LA, Denver, Dallas, Houston, Atlanta, New York, Columbia, South Carolina, and Chicago. And Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful thing because no matter where you are, you know, there's possibly a meetup that's going to be happening in your city. And the Baddie ambassadors, they sign up and they host these meetups.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. And so we do an activity, we share resources. And then also we have that same day, we do a virtual meetup for the women who either we're not hosting one in their city, or they're just not comfortable being in person yet.
What made you go build it at that scale? What was your impetus for doing that?
It's actually funny because I didn't want to. I didn't want to have anything to do with cancer when I was done. Like, I remember telling everybody, like, I'm done. I don't want to hear anything about breast cancer anymore. And then I had a dear friend, Christina, who I had actually met on Instagram. And she was triple negative as well, Hispanic. And we were diagnosed at the same time. And then about a year later, it metastasized. And unfortunately, she passed away. And because of her was the reason why I wanted to get involved into advocacy, because I'm just like, okay, so like Black and brown women, like we're being diagnosed, especially with triple negative breast cancer, one of the most aggressive and deadliest breast cancers that's out there. And so why aren't they researching us? Why aren't they looking into why this is happening? How come there's not a community for us? And so that really propelled me into wanting to get into advocacy and just building a community for us.
A lot of what you're doing, I'm sure, is educating people about the details of what these things mean, how to be proactive. Can you share a bit about the statistics around health inequities and what you're doing to change them?
Yeah, so some of the things that, we've been noticing, we have a private Facebook group with over 3,000 women in there. And, we hear some of the stories from them where they're just talking about how their doctors won't listen to them, or they're not even giving them referrals to plastic surgeons, or, not even telling them the different types of, just the basics about breast cancer, right? Like the different types of breast cancer there is. They don't know anything about stages. Some of them may be misinformed about what they can and can't eat. And so it's a lot of that. And one of the things that I'm really passionate about is just educating the women, just the basics of breast cancer, like what that is. Because I feel like when you're empowered, like you were saying, when you're empowered to know that, then it gives you the tools to be able to ask certain types of questions. And so we're telling, women, like, record your appointments or bring somebody with you so that way they could take notes for you. And just giving them the tools so that way that they have the power to be able to move and progress within their diagnosis or their treatment.
Why do you think that with all the money in breast cancer, all the attention to the pink ribbon, all that we're doing, I mean, all these organizations, all these years, like, why are people that look like us still facing these high disparities?
Well, I think it's just, a lot of it has to do where a lot of people live. Like, I'm from the Seattle area, really great, medical city there, area. And now I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and it's completely different. It's drastic. Like, even for me, I'm just like, wow, this is like, if you are a Black or brown woman and you're living in an area like this, like, for you to get really good treatment, like, you're gonna have to push. And we weren't taught to like ask the doctors or push, whatever they're saying.
Push, you don't talk back. You
You
receive what they tell you and you listen and you nod your head.
Right. But I tell people all the time, like, you should ask those questions. And if your doctor feels like they don't want to answer those for you, or they're annoyed that you're answering them, then you should probably try to go find another doctor. I know for some people that's not logistically something that they can do, but maybe even just telling them, like, it's okay for you to ask those questions. Like, you can at least start there. But, back to what you were saying, it's just realizing that in some pockets of the country, they just don't have access to good care. And so, we need to be able to, talk to the medical professionals and say, okay, these people need access, or how can we get them to where you're at so that way they can get the type of care that they need.
Did you ever imagine that you'd be doing the breadth and depth of things that you're doing now?
No, not at all. I didn't know that this is what I would be doing. You had asked me 7 or 10 years ago if this is where I'd be at, I'd be like, no. Probably say, hell no, I would not be in there at all. But I was actually, I was having a conversation with my boyfriend the other day, and I was just telling him like some of the struggles that I'm having, about like running this organization, and and he's just like, you have to remember you're exactly where God wants you to be right now. And, I thought about that, and I'm just like, you know what, I am. And it's like, even if I decided to walk away, I know that this is where God would still lead me. and be here. So it's just trying to figure out like, what is that why? Like, why am I here? What do I want to do with the time that I'm here, and how can I continue to make more of an impact?
I think it's important too to give ourselves grace.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to give yourself grace and say that, you've done the thing that God asked you to do, but you have to also again not acknowledge your own tempo, take care of yourself, and it's okay to just live. How does it feel to have built something that's like now it's multiplying on its own?
It definitely feels good. Especially when we've started doing these in-person meetups, just seeing all the pictures of women all over the cities, or, being there in person as well too. Like I went to the one in Atlanta because I live there. And then last month I went to the one in Dallas, and, just actually meeting the women, seeing them, it definitely feels good because it's like you're giving them, like you said, like this is right here. It's a safe space. And they feel like they could just, in a sense, let their hair down and be themselves. And they could talk about breast cancer. They don't have to talk about breast cancer. They could talk about, what's going on in their life, and, ask maybe questions and how other people can relate. So it definitely feels good.
That's wonderful. And you're really involved in clinical trial advocacy as well, right?
Yes.
Tell me why the trials are important to your community, to our community, and what you're doing to help create equity in that space.
So clinical trials are definitely important just because, as you know, there's not a lot of us there in clinical trials, and a lot of the drugs that are coming out in the studies, if there's only 5% of African American or 2% of, Latinos in there, then it's just, how will we know as if that drug is actually going to work for
in
us?
Our body, yeah.
Yeah. And so just wanting to get more women of color involved, not even just them getting involved, but making sure that they understand like what a clinical trial is, what this means, but in like layman's terms. Even if your doctor isn't, offering one, like you asking about it, like what clinical trials are being offered here, or do you know of any? And then not even just for us women who have been diagnosed with breast cancer, but I really want women who haven't even been touched by breast cancer to start getting into clinical trials as well. Like it needs to really start there.
Yeah.
They can research us all they want to. We've already been diagnosed, but we got to start, reaching back to the women who haven't even been diagnosed, so that way they can get involved as well too.
Exactly. So with you still building, do you have you have interns helping, or are the advocates helping you grow the foundation?
The ambassadors are definitely helping. I have a couple of my ambassadors who I have kind of elevated them into like a leadership role and doing different things. So like Tova, she's one of our ambassadors. She's like my strategic advisor. So it's good. So I can like lean on her, and she could tell me like, you don't need to be doing this, or you should do this, or this is how you should do it. And she's really good with that. Cynthia's our creative design. She's the one that helps with all the graphics and everything that you see. She's really dope with that. You guys have really great
social content.
Yeah, she's really good. And then I have Kanine. She is the director of partnerships, so she kind of helps me with that too. It's just the one thing that I've, realized, it's like seeing my ambassadors and then seeing the type of roles that I know that they would be great in, or something that they already do in their daytime jobs. And it's like, okay, well, can you help me with this? And then April, she is like our director of like community connections, so getting out there in the community. And so, yeah, just having them come in, and I always try to tell the ambassadors, like, if there's something that you want to lead or something that you feel passionate about, definitely come to me and we can, figure it out. But, trying to disseminate, like you said, some of that work into other people. So then that way, that takes some of the burden off of me, but then they can also get their feet wet and say like, oh, is this something that I want to be? Like advocacy is so many different pathways, right?
Yep.
But then they can like see like, oh, is this something that I want to be involved in? Or let me see if I can, manage this and lead this as well.
How can somebody advocate in different ways without beginning a nonprofit?
Whether, it's Tigerlily, for the rest of us, just see where you can get involved there, or going to the different conferences, just having a presence there. You can learn so much at those conferences that they can build up your advocacy. And even just one-on-one advocates, like we have some ambassadors who they don't like being like in front of everything. They like to be behind the scenes. And so, it's okay to do that. I tell everybody, you don't have to be a super advocate. Like advocacy comes in so many different ways, and however, there's no right or wrong way to do it. Cause I think that's one of the misperceptions within the breast cancer community, is that everybody feels like they have to be a super advocate and there's only one way to do it. And it's like, no. any way you want. I don't care if you sit on the phone with somebody for an hour once a week and like have a one-on-one and talk with them. That is advocacy. You don't have to be out here in front of everything. You don't have to be on all the panels. You don't have to do all this. Your way of advocacy. My biggest thing that I always say, because I say this every single time when somebody interviews me, is I'm like, I don't care if you touch one person or 100 people, you're still making a difference every single time.
It could be your own life, just being your own best advocate.
Right.
And I tell people also, like, if all you do is, at Christmas or Thanksgiving or Easter, when you're with your family, if you discuss history, your health history, and talk about things, that's advocacy too.
Advocacy.
It could be as simple as you saying to your parents, like, what did Auntie so-and-so die from? Or Uncle so-and-so die from? Is their daddy's family have breast cancer or something? Like, just talking about those things, making healthier food choices.
Right.
Going for walks for you and your family, like doing things better for you. What do you think God has lined up for you on the next phase of your chapter?
Well, I keep saying that I am living my second season right now because, I lived in the Seattle area.
Didn't you just move?
I did, yeah. Moved to Atlanta like a little bit over a year ago. So I pretty much sold everything that I had, packed up my car. And
I saw that. I'm a low-key stalker. I was like, you go, girl.
Yeah,
I
it just moved across the country and I ended up getting a new job and like everything's just lining up. Like I'm in like the best season of my life right now. So I keep saying like, this is my second season. So I feel like God is giving me a second chance and to just fulfill whatever purpose it is that he wants me to fulfill. And also just, be able to take care of myself because I've always taken care of everybody else around me. And so now it's time, to focus on myself. Yeah.
I think as we're talking, what we can close on is that advocacy means a lot of different things to different people. But the best advocacy you can do is for yourself, whether it's with your breast health or with your self-care, mindfulness, rest. But if your cup isn't full, then you can't really fill anybody else's cup, right?
Right.
How can our guests learn more about the Rest of Us? And can you share your website information, your amazing social media channels, and maybe a few of the programs that you guys have?
Sure. So you can reach us on breastofus.com. That's the website. You can also find us on Instagram at For the Rest of Us, Facebook For the Rest of Us. We also have a private Facebook group. Just search for Breast Cancer Baddies. And that's specifically for women of color who have been impacted by breast cancer. And then we're also on Twitter at The Breast of Us. And so, yeah, I would just say sign up for our newsletter and that way you can find out what's going on.
Well, and that's a wrap. I'm Maimah Karmo, your host for Breathe TV. Thanks for watching and bye for now.